Russ, what's it like working with a new receiver at midseason? How do you guys get on the same page with Mike so quick?
Yeah, Mike's done a great job so far coming in. He's been great in the meetings. He's been great in the field. Just a lot of attention to detail. You can tell he's a pro. I've been able to play against him, several years. He's a dominant receiver. He can make some great plays. The good thing is we've got a lot of great players, man. We got a lot of great receivers. Obviously George, the addition of Mike, but also Van has been playing unbelievable football. Calvin. We believe in Scotty Miller too, and all the things he can do. We just a plethora of guys that can really make plays, and obviously our tight ends and our running backs. So it's just a guy who wants to win, a guy who's competitive, and he's determined to show who he is.
Russ, how do his skill sets fit in? Is there anything specifically you look at?
I think the first thing is his mindset. How he's approached practice, how he's approached being here. This is a very particular locker room, man. We were very competitive. We're very guys that have tons of confidence, guys that want to be their best every day for each other, sometimes that's not always the case everywhere you go or everywhere you may play or whatever it may be. They don't have the same mentality of work and practice in particular is what I'm really talking about. And the games are the fun part, and that's the easy part, but can you bring it every day and practicing? He has so far. He's been great trying to learn everything. But I think we have a great receiver room, and those guys have really been open arms, vice versa, and just trying to learn everything that they can and we can together. Obviously, we had a big game this week, another great moment. They're all great moments, and you look forward to them, and I think he can bring a lot to the table.
Russ, one thing that's been theorized is that because Williams is good speed, good outside the numbers, catch radius, deep threat, that sort of thing, provide that presence and maybe free up George to do some other things on the route tree. Is there any merit to that?
I think those are all truths. I think when you look out there and you realize a guy's 6'5" and can run the way he can, jump up and catch the ball and run past people, and he's physical. Even in the short game, he can, catch a slant and catch a hitch, catch a post route. He can he can run every route. I mean, he's a guy. I think he's had over 3,000-yard+ seasons. I mean, it's real football, and so he's not out there playing mad. He can make some plays. He's a guy that's really been special over the years. And the great thing is that we also have unbelievable, a group of guys that have put the work in all training camp and all season so far. They've shown up a big way, and just we have so much confidence. For me, I've always thought about the game of football just spreading the ball around and facilitating the ball to the right guy at the right time, trusting the read and take what's there and everything else. And he'll be a really good addition for us because he's competitive in that sense, and he's the right mentality.
Two big deep ball threats, and you throwing the deep ball. Does that open up the field? Does it create more cover too?
I think with our run game and how physical we are and how we run the ball downhill, all the things we're able to do, we want to be able to spread guys out. We want to be able to, get tight and run it downhill. We want to obviously be able to play action. We want to get on the edge. We want to do everything. There's nothing that we shouldn't be able to do with the guys that we have. And Coach Arthur Smith's done a great job of putting us in good situations and all that stuff. And so I think just we want to be able to do it all. And that's the confidence of who we are and what we believe we can do.
Russ, you've done well against Quinn since you guys kind of split up. You got a little inside knowledge there?
Well, I wouldn't say Dan Quinn and I split up. I think we've had some amazing years together, and he's an unbelievable coach. He's one of my favorite people I've ever been around in terms of just how he coaches. I mean, I'll kind of give you just a little background on Dan Quinn and who he is. He's one of the first guys, and I'll also talk about Bobby Wagner in the story too. Bobby and I, we used to race to get to the facility and see who was the first ones there, and Bobby and I always say, don't get bored with consistency. And, we obviously came in the same class together and everything else. And Coach Dan Quinn, we realized that Coach Dan Quinn was sometimes getting there before us, a couple minutes before us. We were like, what? But I think that Coach Quinn, he's a guy who coaches the details of the game. I think that he's a defensive line mentality coach. He's coached that position for a long time, and he's over there. I remember coaching guys like Cliff Averill, Michael Bennett's of the world, and doing drills with them. And it's the week of the Super Bowl kind of thing. He's in the mix of it. That's who he is as a coach. He's a teacher, unbelievable teacher. He's a man of faith and just a great communicator. That's why they've done so well. He's a culture builder. Ironically, obviously Coach Tomlin and Coach Quinn know each other from years ago from VMI and everything else, and so just listen. This is a great matchup. I know we're confident in who we are, what we do well. They're confident in what they do well too, and just we got to play football. It's 4 quarters of it. But obviously, Coach Quinn is one of the best to do it. He's been doing it for a while.
I mean, you're 3-1 against him.
Yeah, I like playing ball, but it's not against him necessarily. It's just he's tremendous at what he does.
What does it say about maybe the direction of this team that, Omar was aggressive at the trade deadline to bring in, a depth piece for the defense, a new wide receiver for the offense? Just what kind of maybe excitement does that give you guys or tell you about the direction of where this team is headed?
Well, I think first of all is championship teams go for it every day. And that's from the locker room, and us players, to the training room and the equipment staff, to the cafeteria, and obviously the head coach, and all the way to just the mentality of the front office. I think championship teams, and championship cultures go for it. I really believe that, and that's something that we have here. It's a special place. There's been a lot of winning over the years, and those are all truths. The other truth is it doesn't mean anything yet. We have to be able to do it, 1 week at a time, 1 practice at a time, 1 day at a time, and that's a great truth because we get to control that every day in our mentality. And so those two things are very true, and that's what makes it so fun being here. That's what makes it fun being around guys that are dedicated. You got guys like Big Larry O, who's so talented. You got guys like TJ and Big Cam, and got Herbig rushing off the edge, and obviously Alex, who's one of the best to do it. I mean, that pass rush, and then you add Preston Smith. It's real. I've played against Preston a bunch. He's a guy that knows how to get to the quarterback, stop the run, do a lot of great things. He's a tremendous football player, and he'll be a great addition to our locker room because of his approach and his talent. And those reps are real. That success in the National Football League is real. It's not make believe. And I think he's done it well, and he'll fit well with these guys and with us. And so I think the other part of it, obviously, the addition of Mike and just what he can do. So I think the best part is that we're going for it every day, and it's not just some make-believe thing. It's we want to be great. We want to do everything that we believe we're capable of doing. And once again, it's just potential. We got to go do it.
A couple more here, guys. Returning from injury, what's it like working him back into the rotation?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think Zach's had a great season so far. He's confident. He's tough as nails. He's got all the ability in the world. I think the other part to it is Ryan has done an amazing job, man. And just him stepping in, his confidence, his ability to coach and teach and be a part of it, his ability to step in and play at a high level against some of the best pass rushers up front there are in the game the past 2 weeks. Ryan's done a great job. So anytime you got two really great centers, it's a good thing. And so they're going to be talented for a long time, both of those guys. I'm just glad I get to take the ball from them and play football with those guys and trust in those guys.
Obviously, you're not.
Two more here.
Obviously, you're not going against Jaden Daniels, but what have you maybe seen out of him early in his career? We've heard he's lightning in a bottle. He's not playing like a rookie, but what have you seen as someone who's been in his position?
Yeah, I think first of all, I think I got to meet Jaden at the Fanatics party, in the Super Bowl. And I got to be around him for a while, and he's got a calm demeanor about him. He's a guy that's going to be a young superstar and talented and everything else as he continues to work. But I think the best thing about him is he's got a good poise. You notice that, and I think that in any young guy, it's hard to find that. It's hard to your parents probably create that in some form or fashion. You build that over time with the things you've been through, the highs and the lows. And I've been in that position where there's a lot of lights, cameras, and action, all that stuff, and he handles it well. He handles it with grace and confidence. He's a tremendous football player. Obviously, he can do it all. He's going to be a young star for a long time, and so I think that anytime you see a player like that, you admire the ability and what he can do, and so he's going to be a great player, and I think that he's going to keep working, and he's in a great culture there with obviously with Dan Quinn and that group, and I know Bobby as well, and his consistency and all those guys.
Last one here.
Deep ball. I know, it's not like it's this big part of the practice group, but you're throwing 40-yard passes a day. How do you develop a connection on that? Do you need a connection, or is it more just a trust in a guy and you're going to let it loose?
Throw it to him so he can catch it. I don't know. I just, I try to give guys a chance to make a play, but at the same time, like I said, it's not, I think you're trying to get the ball to the right guy in the right situation every time, and get the ball in the flat, get the ball over the middle, get the ball down the field, get the ball right handoff, right check, this and that. And it's the multiplicity of the game that you have great talented guys that work really hard. It makes it easy on you, and it's those guys that are making the great plays. And I just try to give them a chance to let them be great, and it's their hard work. And so you spend time on it, and you got to give tremendous credit to those guys because the amount of time that they spend on the extra work is is the fun part, playing this position. And we get guys like that, like Van, Calvin, and George, and all those guys, Pat, and just you got so many guys that have great leadership and work ethic. That's the fun part about it.
All right.